the Strike Back Season 4 premiere. Now, sadly, this is going to be the final season of Strike Back, but fortunately, it's finally here. We did have to wait a little bit longer because I believe it was Sullivan who ended up, which was Scott. Um, he ended up in an accident during shooting, or it was during like a different movie offset, and so we had to wait an extra couple of months before we were able to get this season. But it's finally premiered, and it's just as cool as it's always been. You know, they did the cool little recap of the last season. They showed the scene where they lost the former leader of Section 20, which was a pretty crazy episode. I remember that last season, and she just kind of deteriorated throughout it and just kind of lost it. And she ended up dying in that. So we have our new leader, and who the heck knows how that's going to play out, because every leader they've had has been killed off. So it's like, it's fairly even. Like, we had season 1 and it ended the way that it did. You know, they lost the leader back then, and of course I can't remember like anybody's names, but you know, we lost her in season 1. Then season 2 was actually okay, and they kind of messed around with that in that finale, because I remember she got shot in the stomach, and I was like, they're not going to do this every season, but she survived that. And then it was like halfway through, or a little bit, maybe like 3/4 through last season, that's when we lost our last leader of Section 20. So then we have our current leader, and so he's in, and now, like I said, who knows how that's going to play out, but all the action is still the same. We have Martinez, who's still in there, which is pretty cool. I completely forgot that she joined the team in the last season, but it was cool that she was still in there, and she kind of switched roles with Rebecca, I believe her name is. They didn't say her name like once in this episode, but I'm trying to remember. But they kind of switched roles as like Overwatch and in the field, so that was kind of cool. It was great to see that Rebecca and Scott were actually still together, so that's working out. And I was instantly freaked out when she went on her first mission, because I'm like, they aren't gonna kill off Scott and Stonebridge, but what if they do kill her off? And I really hope they don't. I hope no one dies this season, because every season someone has died. So my hope is that the team just deals with maybe losing other people, but not like the team members itself. Like it's constantly dwindling down, and people get replaced and stuff like that. But when you only have 5 people, that's not a lot of people. So it's always been that way. We always get really attached, and hopefully with this being the final season, they kind of end it where it's just like everyone lived, through the whole thing, and then they get shot or cut or whatever, and it's risky, but ultimately everyone survives, I hope. So I was, super freaked out when that happened. She gets knocked out, but they go in, just punching. I think there were like 2 headbutts in a row from Scotty, just like headbutting people. I swear I thought he was going to do it to the third guy, but he slams his head on the table. And they go in, shoot up the place, jump through a window, typical crazy Strike Back stuff. So it was really fun to watch, and I just love the way this entire episode went. It started off simple. We got some cool shots. It's like, all right, this girl gets kidnapped. She's the daughter of the ambassador, and he's doing this summit, and now it kind of leads into this whole question as to why was it, North Korea that was specifically targeted for this threat. So they've been bombed. That's obviously going to lead to the mass chaos throughout the rest of the season, and it was a race against the clock, and it was one of those things where with Strike Back you never really know how it's going to play out, because they do all 3 options. It's like either it's all good, it's half and half, or it's all bad. So honestly, it's like you never know which one is going to happen. You assume that it's going to be half and half. I think is the most common, because it's like, all right, we did it at the last minute, but whenever it's a bomb, is like it. I think more often than not, at least, the bombs go off, and whatever the second objective was is accomplished, but the bomb still ends up going off. I feel like that's how it's been kind of throughout the series. So of course that ends up happening. They save the guy's daughter, and they can't stop the bomb. I thought they could. They had like the 10 seconds if the leader kind of slid in and just grabbed the duffel bag and did some stuff. It's like, all right, boom, bomb defused and everyone's safe. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So the bomb goes off. We're gonna have to see the aftermath of that next week. But it was just a crazy chase. They go into a crazy, 100 yards of just war zone basically for this gang that even the police don't go into. So that was a pretty cool moment. I was surprised that they actually killed off one of the characters that I thought was gonna be one of the big villains for the season, because like a we have one scene with our main villain, or at least I guess the right hand man of the main villain, the guy who is just like on this random in like this random penthouse apartment just looking out on the city. So he, at least right now, is like the number one guy, or he's one of them at least, because then there's the cop that we met, and he mentions to the guy who seems like he's going to be like the main villain, because he's the one we really get to see. He mentions to him, like, do you want to give them a call? And he's like, oh, I thought not. So there's the people like way at the top, and then there's the guy that the main guy called. So it's like 4 layers of bad guys already, or like almost five, if you count the cop. And they actually killed off like the really tough guy. I thought for sure that he was gonna be in like the whole season, and or maybe not the entire season, but they have their issues and they'd have to deal with them, and because he comes in and he just takes them both down, but he actually gets killed off in this episode. I was like, oh, I was incredibly shocked by that. I figured they probably get out of that fight where neither of them die, but they end up, he knocks him out or whatever. But no, he gets shot up and that guy's gone now. So I was like, oh, that's kind of surprising. So they might have someone else come in, and I kind of hope they do, because I can't remember them ever having an enemy that was actually like that, where they just couldn't beat the person. So it does kind of suck that they killed the person off so fast, but whether they have someone else or not, it's still gonna, they do end up in enough firefights to kind of balance all that stuff out. Like, they can't be in all these insane firefights and then still have to deal with the crazy, almost Hulk guy who's like breaking people's arms and stuff. So I guess it does kind of make sense, because it would just be such a challenge if he came at him and he had someone covering him and he runs in there. He would be able to kill them. He'd just lift them up and toss them over, whatever they're hiding behind, and just be like, shoot that guy, and then they both get killed off. So I was surprised to see that, but it was definitely a cool scene. Then we have like our main guy who, is definitely going to be like the main antagonist, because he has the most scenes in this episode. He even has a backstory where it's like he has a wife and child. He talks about his family growing up to the girl that he kidnapped. So he's obviously like the face of the villains at this point. I mean, it's only the first episode, but he's clearly the one who got like the forefront in this one as far as all the bad guys. So he's going to be in there. He's been captured, so I don't know what's going to really happen with his character, but he's got the wife and kid, so he's obviously going to try to get back out there because he wants them safe. So he's not going to do everything like, yeah, I'm going to give you all the answers, because he wants, his wife or girlfriend, most likely, and child to be safe. So I'm not sure how his character is going to play out, but it's really obvious that he's like the main one at this point. He has the most scenes. It's like, all right, he owns this place. He's in control of these people and this people. He caused this guy, and he's like, I lost a bunch of my guys and stuff like this. So we get a lot out of him, personality-wise, which is really great, because obviously we need a specific face for the villains. But even he doesn't have all the answers, because I'm pretty sure in the trailer for next week's episode, he was the one who's like, well, why would they target their own people? So he might be the face of the villains, but he's not. He's obviously not the top. He's kind of the lowest one on the totem pole. So I'm excited for this season. I don't know how many episodes it is. I hope it's a lot. I hope it's like 22 or something, but I'm sure it'll probably be like half that, unfortunately. But I'm excited for this season. It does suck, once again, that it's going to be the final season, but I'm really glad it's, finally able to start at least. So I'm excited to see, all the craziness and just nearly impossible situations that they get themselves into. So I love this episode. Great start. Love the ending with the sort of, half accomplished, half failure thing, because it's like they just had the issues they had. That's how it goes in the show. So who knows what's happening next. I mean, we already had the bombs going off at the end. They can't really get the guy because obviously he died in the explosion, so they can't exactly target him and say, like, why would you do this? He's already gone. So they're going to have to get all these answers, and they might find the phone on him if it wasn't somehow just completely obliterated. But his body wasn't, so I'm sure the phone will be fine, because technically his whole body should have just been gone, or at least, in pieces. But love the episode, of course. I want to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And, with this being the first episode of the final season, what are you guys looking forward to? Like, based off of what we got to see, the characters we got to meet, What are you guys looking forward to for this season? Which, out of the couple of villains that we were really introduced to, and the cop seems like he's going to have a fairly big role in the next episode. Like, he comes back despite the fact that they captured the guy at the end. So he obviously does have a major role that's important enough for him to come into the series without him actually talking to the other guy. So we've got some important characters coming in, some that we still don't really know about, like at the top of the food chain. Still don't really know about them. So there's a lot happening. I guess technically we met three new good characters, although one of them died by the end of the episode. But there's a lot of new characters and stuff, so I want to know what you guys thought about them. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.